A 4-day extreme heat warning comes into effect over parts of the UK, with temperatures forecast to hit 37 degrees in some places. The tinder dry land has led to wildfires in and near London and a warning of an exceptional risk of blazes spreading in many places. An amber extreme heat warning has come into force in some parts of the UK to last for 4 days, as temperatures are forecast to hit 37 degrees in some areas. Although temperatures are unlikely to reach last month's 40-degree high, this heatwave is much more prolonged and some temperatures could get close to local or regional records. There's concern about wildfires, about pressure on water supplies and transport problems. The Met Office alert for southern, central and some of northern England and also parts of Wales runs until Sunday. The Met Office has also issued its highest alert for fire severity, warning that there's an exceptional risk of blazes spreading. It's also expected that a drought will be officially declared tomorrow. These are the high temperatures stretching to the north of England and into Scotland, although the north of Scotland is much cooler. Sarah Campbell reports.
Earlier today in West Sussex, one of 2 fires which destroyed acres of crops.
Absolutely nothing you could do. It's just on fire.
In East London, this grassland fire was believed to have been caused by a discarded bottle.
Last August, in the first week, we attended 42 grassland fires in London. This year, for the first week in August, we've attended 340, so an 8-fold increase in the numbers that we've attended. So that gives you a bit of a flavour in terms of the pressure that is being put on fire services up and down the UK, actually. And we've never seen this. I've never seen this in my 23-year career in the fire service.
More savannah grassland than a park in West London. And keeping the manager here awake at night, the possibility of fire. And you can see why.
So even in these conditions, people are having disposable barbecues.
Yeah, and this is the evidence that we're sort of finding. You know, this is a good example, big scorched area. You know, look how dry it is everywhere, and yet someone is deciding to, to cook their food in such a sort of tinder dry area. It's not great at all.
To help prevent fires here and elsewhere, some supermarkets have temporarily banned the sale of disposable barbecues.
It's not quite as hot as it was on those record-breaking days in July, but the colour of the grass here in Richmond Park tells the story of the summer. Very little rain and day after day of heat.
And the same is true across large swathes of the country. In Hampshire, at the Boomtown Festival, people are having to find ways to keep cool.
Plenty of water, we're going to refill our bottles at the station.
Lots of water and sun cream.
Yeah, sun cream, shade, if there is any.
Yeah, we should have a paddling pool. But now I've got the gazebo, I think it'll be a lot easier to keep the pool.
In Wales, bathers have been finding some respite in the waters off Barry Island.
I think I would have melted a long time ago. I think I just would have been a pool on the floor at some point if I hadn't been in and out the sea all the time.
And it's not just humans who need help to stay cool. Fish in the River Mole in Surrey have had to be moved into deeper, shadier waters, as have crayfish in Shropshire. With the hot temperatures set to last over the weekend, the message is enjoy the sun responsibly. Sarah Campbell, BBC News.
Well, the hot weather here is being driven by temperatures coming up from the rest of Europe, with heat waves and droughts in large areas. There are wildfires in France in the southwest region of Gironde, and a number of European countries are sending equipment and help. It's prompted increasing concern about the effects of climate change, as Mark Lowen reports.
A cloak of fire shrouding southwest France, a landscape of beauty turned to horror as flames tear through the Gironde, destroying almost 7,000 hectares, fanned by winds, searing heat and France's worst drought on record. A tranquil village last week, a ghost town this one, with 10,000 people evacuated. Firefighters and planes have come from across Europe to help France manage a nightmare that keeps recurring.
We must continue more than ever to fight against climate change, and we must also continue to adapt to it. We will begin debates on a new national climate change plan this autumn.
Elsewhere in Europe too, fires rage. In Spain, Galicia is one of a dozen regions battling them. while in Portugal, flames have destroyed more than 10,000 hectares of forests, scarring the night sky. How quickly our Earth is drying up. This was France a year ago. And now look, lush land turned to wasteland, forests and fields barren.
Paris may be looking glorious in the sunshine, delighting its tourists, but we are of course facing a very serious situation. Crops across Europe are dying, worsening the global food crisis linked to the war in Ukraine. And extreme droughts and heat waves that were freak events are now becoming more common and progressively worse.
France's fourth successive heatwave is being lapped up by some, but despite the pleasure, they know the pain is deepening.
I think if this summer has taught people anything, it's like this is happening, and it's happening now. These temperatures are extreme, and if people don't start to act, it's only going to get worse by the looks of it.
Because we are the new generation, we had to live in this planet, and it's going really bad, and we are a little worried about our future.
France is taking the heat of what we are doing to our world. The postcard beauty may look stuck in time, but the planet is changing, and there's fear of what's to come.
Well, officials say the area of France burned this year by fires is 6 times larger than average, while July was the second hottest month on record. And I can tell you that the heat is really building here, with temperatures likely to edge towards 40 degrees. Drought, heat waves, fires, it is a combustible mix, Rita, but one we're seeing right across Europe, and one we're likely to see much more often.
OK, Mark. Thank you. Mark Lone reporting there. Well, experts say that heat waves are becoming more likely and more extreme because of human-induced climate change. Our climate editor Justin Rolat is here with more. Justin.
Thanks, Rita. Well, it's easy to see why the government is considering declaring a drought. Here is how the UK looked back at the beginning of July. Look at that, nice and green. Now have a look at this. This is how the UK looked yesterday. You can see how dry the ground is, particularly in the south and the east of England. And dry ground makes hot days even hotter because more of the sun's energy goes into heating the air. The Met Office says this is part of a global pattern. It says there have been 5 high-pressure centres dominating the Northern Hemisphere's weather over the past couple of months. Now, this image shows them at the end of last month. The red colour shows how much hotter than normal it is. The high pressure over the US here is why some 100 million Americans have been enduring temperatures of over 38 degrees Celsius. The weather's been even more extreme in Iran and Iraq, number 4 there. It's been up to 50 degrees Celsius on an almost daily basis in Baghdad in the last 2 weeks. And high pressure over Japan, number 5, explains why it's also been enduring some record temperatures. Now, the weather has been particularly brutal because the high-pressure systems are being locked in place by waves in the jet stream. You can see them there. The jet stream is the fast-flowing current of air high in the atmosphere. Now, when it's really dry, as it is now, these waves can sit in place for days or even weeks, meaning it just gets hotter and hotter. And there is some tentative evidence suggesting this pattern of blocked weather could be becoming more pronounced because of climate change. Now, for each area of high pressure, there's a corresponding area of low pressure, and this is what low pressure brought to Korea. Storms and floods, and a dramatic low brought terrible flooding to parts of the US this summer too. So what does all this mean for the UK? Well, the Met Office is predicting the high pressure system will move away early next week to be replaced with low pressure. That will bring some heavy localised downpours, and when the ground is as dry as it is now, we should expect some flooding. The good news is they are not expecting it to be anywhere near as bad as in Korea and the US. Rita.